Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Forged Lines Forever. Hope you're all doing okay. Today, game Achtung, for the first game cast here on the Games with Brains Week 4 of the year 2023. Taking place on the map you see here, Lost Atoll. 100% balanced by the AI. We'll have to see if that lives up to the claim of 100% balance. And we'll see if we can bring ourselves on in, start and do away with the music there. And yeah, in we come. All right, so we see here on the teams, got them down there, making a right pig's ear of that one. I will at some point put a little bit more into that. And yeah, okay, let's come on over then, get rid of the title as well as the game information. Just a single point separating these two teams, and a hell of a lot of water. And again, AI bans. The Fireys versus the Cools, very nice. And yeah, Team 2, the cool colour, 1 point ahead on 1137 versus 1136 for Team 1. So I said 100% balance, more like 99.9% recurring. We'll have to see if that 1 point makes the tip that gives them the win. All right, let's begin and kick off then. And we'll take a look. Let's start once again. Team 1. We'll start up on the north side here. On the westernmost position, we'll slow time down just a tad and I'll fade the music away. It's Harvan 001. 936 on the rating, the lowest rated player in the game. Incidentally, it would seem like 1,000-ish. I don't know exactly where you would define average, whether it's 1,000. I guess we could call it something like 1,000. Certainly in that region, 800 to 1,000. So you could say this guy, Harvan01, is right about on the average. And of course, average may sound like not very good, but don't forget, half the population's even worse than that. So Harvan here, 001 going first, air as UEF there. Over to his east side, sharing his island in a brighter red. I'm going to call this guy Martin. Of course, he's got a J in between the I and the N just to make things a little more complicated. I guess we could call this a silent J. Martin, potentially, who knows? Martin H333. We're going to go with Martin. 1112 on the rating, or 1112 to give it its full name. Here, going first land, and the customary mechs, no doubt. NG, first one out the door, is going to be making his way over to the Hydro, and there indeed it is. And Martin there, Cybran. Over then onto Team 1's secondary island, the easternmost island here. On the north side, it's Cheerios going first land, also UEF. He's clocking in at 1401 on the ratings, the highest rated player in the game. And so Team 1, both the lowest and the highest rated, despite overall there being a perfect balance. And again, my experience, even though when teams are averaged out equally, when there's a discrepancy between the higher and the lower rated on one team and the other team are all squashed, you know, let's say exactly all at 1136 for argument's sake, and the other side's got some at 8, some at 9, some at 12, some at 15 rated, whatever. The higher rated, the 1500 rated team, even though it balances out, is usually the one that wins. Again, because the weaker guy goes down, the stronger guy gets the eco, and so on and so forth. We'll have to see, therefore, if that holds true today. Cheerios, 1401, over 100, well, about 100 points ahead of his nearest opponent on the other side. So we'll see. And last but not least here, for Team 1, it's Luca, 2512. We'll call him Luca, clocking in at 1096 on the rating. So perhaps if he wins this game, he may be able to nudge up to about 1100 on the ratings. We'll have to see. He's going Seraphim first land. He's already got his Hydro and looking to expand there. Already an engineer out from Cheerios. Yeah, looking to capitalize on this island. We've got some nice mass reclaim. We'll have a little look at the map more detail shortly. We're going to continue moving around the teams in a clockwise fashion. This time we're starting now for Team 2 in blue. I'm going to call this guy Guga. And yeah, Guga going Seraphim, first land, expanding in all the usual ways. 970 on the rating. The lowest guy rated here for Team 2, but is, about 30-40 points ahead of Havan there for Team 1. To his east in the 6 o'clock position on the map, and indeed for Team 2. And what we got here? It's Arrow Chano. I'm just going to call him Arrow for simplicity. Arrow Chano X or X-Ray coming in at 1008. He's also somebody going first air. Now, usually if you go first air, you're rushing out some sort of air, whether it's a transport or a bomber. Otherwise, I don't see why air factories make themselves pay. Of course, you could argue if you're landlocked in on a tiny area, what's the point in building land at all when air factories can produce engineers? I hear you, there's that as well. Over then to the 8 and 9 o'clock positions to round this off then, we've got Nabavasa coming in at 1307 for UEF, going first land, moving his ACU very little amount, second air, the highest rated player here for Team 2, certainly want to keep an eye out. And then last but not least, it's AT&T, I'm going to call him that. It's AT8, but AT and T. Well, close enough. Some American mobile phone company, who knows. Is Seraphim 1261. And yeah, I like what he's doing with the NGs. He's got the attack moves out of the factories, send one this way, one that way, and he's sending another one down here doing the same thing. That said, when there's that many islands that need you to be... he is moving in with his ACU, so... Just wondering, what does he need all that economy for? Is he rushing? Oh, he's rushing a mechs upgrade. That's why. You can see with at least 3 or 4 NGs on this factory reclaim, that making himself pay. Does he move these guys over in time, or is this on attack move? So for those that don't know, if you have a factory reclaim like this, you can click shift and literally drag this order to somewhere else, and the engineer will then continue their factory reclaim shenanigans over in the new area. And indeed, he did get it in time, and we know that's the case because of the extended range that these guys are reclaiming at. So expect him, if he's on the ball, to move these factory reclaim orders around and continue to take advantage of that extended reclaim ability there. All right, with that done, we've introduced everybody. Let's zoom out a bit. We'll restore the speed to full pace, and we'll see what's going to go on here. Drop ship from Luca. Team 1 there, looking to get slightly aggressive into what you could... it's 50-50. It just feels like it's due to the shape of the islands that it's more faced on the broadside here with Team 2. Of course, Team 1, his pal is ways off behind him rather than a faced-on connection. You could say the same is opposite way round for these two islands, favouring Team 1, where they've got an easier expansion. In fact, looks like Team 1 is certainly going to grab the more inner island. We've got potential ACU on ACU action brewing there, ways off on the west side. And of course, it's not for naught, right? We've got reclaim and 4 mass points, and you let your opponent have 4 mass points, especially when it's within TML range of your main islands. That is certainly an island you don't want to let go for free. Centrally, let's have a look. Well, that's certainly worth going for. 2 mass points, but as well, there's about 500 mass there to be reclaimed. So that, a very quick benefit. ACU and ACU over on the west side as well. We've got Guga taking on Luca, and Luca is going to have the upper hand here because he's got engineers that are rushing to put down a point defense. Looks like they think, no shit, we need the power first. And if we click on Luca, there we see why. He's stalling on energy. That will have prevented those engineers from being able to finish the point defense. He now has it. Question is he going to be able to keep Guga away long enough to finish the point defense? And the answer, it's going to be close. Oh, I was almost sure he was going to finish it. Alas, Luca spins around with his ACU, spends half a millisecond finishing it off, and that is going to have to force Guga back. And you see there, Guga on the run is able to damage the point defense quite considerably. Meanwhile, over on the west side, it's ACU and a factory versus ACU and a factory. One ACU does put down a plasma cannon, but it's out of position and he loses a factory because of it. AT&T are doing the right thing, spitting out artillery, because he knows he needs the artillery to take out that point defense. Although Haven does take him on with the Tech 1 bomber, and I think Haven is going to get this. I don't believe it. The 936 is bullying the 1261 off the island, and he looks like he's going to push him off. Wow. Martin here with the ACU looking to cut him off on some pincer move. Doesn't do it. I wonder if AT&T with his sub saw Martin coming round the flank, and maybe that's why he decided to leave. Perhaps all the credit doesn't go to Harvin, but either way, very well played there. Harvin, well, looks like he's scooping up the mass and rightfully needs to start putting mechs down here. Of course, Martin's already got his island, but if a higher rated player sees a lower rated player not capping their stuff and pronto, they're gonna go get it. AT&T, meanwhile, does have some Navy presence in the water, and that is going to prevent these ACUs at least just openly challenging his main base without any second thought. And I think, yeah, if you see your opponent's got naval supremacy in the drink, even if it's a 2v1 ACU style, you're certainly not going to move in willy-nilly. Team 1 surprisingly capping off this island. I really would have thought Team 2 with the easier access to the more central island here would have got it. And, yeah. Araucano, I just feel that this, yeah, alright, he's wanting to use his ACU for build power, but you see, Araucano at this point has done nothing. There's no Navy. Sure, he's got one gunship, but he's using his ACU to assist tech up. Alright, this guy better be strong in the second half of the game, because he's basically cost his team this island by not being more aggressive. Sure, they did get the central volcano, and if they can be quick off the mark with TML, they can shut this space down, but Luca now bullying Team 2 off the easternmost base as well, the easternmost island. And so, you know, we're islands from east here, both going to Team 1. The central volcano goes to Team 2. And then there are 6 mass points on there, 4 around the outside, 2 in the middle. So it's by no means worthless. Of course, it's a very nice dominating position. But then Team 1 also getting the 2 the 2 westernmost islands. And so, you know, it's a 5 islands, you know, up for grabs, let's say. Down the mid, 4 of which have gone Team 1's way. We'll have to see if they can make that pay. And the only other island that is for Team 2 is their rearmost expansion, of course. Well, you could say the rear 2 here. And I think those are going to be impossible to hold, certainly at this stage, by opposing teams. Some first Navy engages going on then, and that's going to go. Subs are going to beat frigates all day. You see some artillery moving out there from Lucas, trying to take on the little run by, but it's not going to be enough. And we got some gunships now, finally. Araucano is moving in. Well, you're going to have to move in further than that. Come on. Araucano, you have to go Navy, otherwise I'm 2v1, says Guga. And of course, Guga being the weakest player for Team 2, that's certainly not a request you need to ignore. And here we see Araucano finally does dip his toe in. He's also got a little Navy base centrally. I guess Araucano just really wanted to dominate his economy before doing so. And if we take a look, he's on 68 on the income there. Second only to Nabavasa. Yeah, so that first engage with those gunships not going particularly well for Araucano. Luca managing to comfortably hold on to the place. Does lose a solitary mechs, but that's about it. And now counter-attacking with a navy of his own. Guga having to consolidate his forces right back up to the factories. Meanwhile, west side, Martin already out with a Tech 2, and a Tech 2 is going to take on a couple of subs as well as a Tech 1 torp launcher, and he's just balls to the wall moving in together with a bunch of Tech 1 subs from Havan. There's about 8 Tech 1 subs there. This is a very strong force. The only way you can counter this really effectively is at this stage torpedo bombers, and AT&T is on the case. The problem is he needs to crack on with it because he's having his main base under attack. Nabavasa is moving in with some support. It's just Tech 1 frigates and subs. That said though, if the destroyer from Martin is focused elsewhere, together with the torpedo bombers, they could make this work. They do need to keep air dominance in this area though, because these 2 torp bombers are the only thing keeping AT&T in the game right now, and they are going to be able to pull it off providing Team 1 doesn't send air in. Sorry, Team 1 doesn't send the air in to shoot them down. You can see they've already got a couple of inties in the area. Do lose one of their torpedo bombers, but not before taking out the destroyer. I'm quite surprised to see that Team 2 have got such a forward presence here, and yet they're got their rear getting taken out. And a nice drop here from Lucas onto Guga's main island, and of course Guga essential for his navy. And he's losing undefended Tech 2s here. Is he even aware? Well, he is now moving his ACU in. So yeah, but he's going to lose 2 Tech 2 mechs. Almost for sure he's going to lose a third here. He sends an air over for intel purposes. Now if it's going to be close. It's going to be real close. And with that last shell landing, does lose the Tech 2 mechs. Does then have another shell land for good measure, but yeah, it's going to be painful. And now a couple of subs right in the thick of it here from Luca, just putting smack down. And yeah, they're going to pick off build capacity for free. And yeah, better late than never there. Tech 2 destroyer from Guga, that was desperately needed. Does take out those 3 subs who had, I believed, come out on top to use their little plasma guns to take on more. And yet another drop coming in, this time from Cheerios, the 1401, fully laden up with artillery, aware that Guga's ACU out of position. And I hate to see this when you get the weakest player picked on. And yeah, his eco's going to be going down the toilet now. Look at that, just 19 mass at this point, and that's just crumbling away. Going after the Tech 2. Well, going after that Tech 2, you know, took out most of the attacking forces there from Cheerios during the chain reactions. But I think at this point, Guga's got to be feeling right deflated. He knows he's having a hard time as it is on the Navy, and he's just lost all his eco, down to just 7 mass per tick. Granted, he's got a little bit of reclaim left, but when you've lost all your Tech 2s, I mean, what's that worth? He really needs to win this engagement versus Luca so that Guga can send in a couple of NGs on reclaim duty, because otherwise he is out. He's rebuilding some Tech 1. He's reclaiming the Tech 2s to build the Tech 1. Sure, that's going to fund his ability to do so. But yeah, that was not nice to see. Lucas now looking very strong, the 1096, dominating both of these islands. Meanwhile, we'll check back over on the western side. Martin now. 3 destroyers, 1 cruiser. And his pal with a couple of, I was going to say Tech 1, but we do have a Cooper there, the UEF T2 torpedo boat. Now, look at the insane range on that thing. I assume he must be shooting at ghost contacts. And that's exactly what he's going for. And so the UEF frigate there, using their deceivers, and we saw them there used to great effect. The torpedo boat was firing at nothing. Strat bomber out there. And apologies for missing it entirely, but we can see it picked off at least 2. What would have almost for sure been teched up mechs here from Martin, being ways in the rear. I did hear a further strike, so we can see that over there as well. Yeah. Nice pickup nonetheless from both sides. And finally, a bit of a counter-attack here from Team 2. So far, everything seemingly going Team 1's way. Granted, a little strat bomber that's done limited damage. And a beautifully placed cruiser here from AT&T, the 1261. Looks like he's going to be able to finally push Parvan off the westernmost island. And I'm sure as soon as he has achieved that, he'll be moving in engineers of his own. An important engage here in the middle. And just as Martin looked like he was about to lose, moving in with his commander, and his commander, look at that, firing off the torpedoes, the torpedo launcher there from Cybran, the only commander able to do so. That is going to turn this Navy engagement round for Martin, and not only that, puts his commander right where it needs to be to start reclaiming what is a ton of mass for this stage of the game. Well over 5,000-6,000 mass there, right on his doorstep. Martin playing really well. The 1100 rated player. And Googie, Googa there, the 970, recovering his mass points. And looks like he's teched at least half of them up to Tech 2. The problem is that disabled his ability to produce more Navy. Sending all his... What's he doing with his engines? Just desperately trying to get some reclaim. But what's it going to be worth? He's got cruisers, destroyers, and an air force right outside his base. And at this point, he's going to be feeling disheartened. That were me, I'd be getting ready to pick up my towel. Getting ready to lob it somewhere. Somewhere towards the Alt and F4 keys, I think. Team 2, however, starting to make some decent gains here up the western side. Looks like they're not far away from securing this area. Van valiantly moves in a couple more engineers to try and reclaim this area, but with cruisers bearing on down, I'm not sure how long that's going to last. Martin, engineers on reclaim duty, realizes I'm having all that mass that's around my forward base. Mine actually doing real nice. Taking a look now at the ecos. Team 1, the fiery colours, bringing in 410. Team 2, the cool colours, bringing in 330 or thereabouts. And that is going to be in no small part due to the dual raids that have taken part on Guga's base, being attacked from both Lucas and Cheerios. Picking on the weakest player. And Aracano, pal, you're going to have to help your mate out in some way. And he is moving in one destroyer together with a frigate. I just feel at this stage it's too little too late. ASF from Araucano over the top of his mate's base, but I'm not sure what that's going to do. We've got cruisers coming in. Hands off though to Guga. He's not giving up. He's putting out TMDs to try and keep these missiles out from the cruiser. He's going to have to put more than a few down to prevent that. Araucanos with the renegades. Yeah, he could have picked off those frigates. And he's got a strat bomber. Well, don't hang it round the cruiser. Ah, what a waste. What a waste. Does he even manage? How did he manage to even get that? Oh my goodness. Hanging that over all those frigates. Cruiser got 3 shots for days on it, and somehow, with about a third of its health, bringing the strat bomber home. And Cheerios being real aggressive here with the NGs, looking to reclaim his opponent's wrecks and bases. That said, Team 2 are, for now, holding on to the volcano here. I like what I see by Araucano patrolling the artilleries and the T1AAs on that circular motion. Makes them quite difficult to hit, at least with long-range mobile missiles. And just keep this sort of little screen of defensive AA. And finally, Team 2 putting out some combined effort here, may be able to keep Guga in the game. This was long overdue. You're going to have to keep moving though, due to the ranged attack here from the missiles. Keep it moving. Keep it together. Or better yet, hand all this naval control over to the guy who can micro it. Bulwark shield coming down now from Cheerios. That is going to provide some much needed cover to his armies. His navies here. But it feels like the outcome here is going to be decided by which 2 players, blue and purple versus orange and yellow, play the best together. And in large part, I would like to see one of these guys hand their navy over to the other, so that all these units can be moved around in a better way. Because it feels like that's going to be Guga's only way to stay in the game. You see, he's desperately trying to put Navy out back in the rear. He's not got anywhere near enough units to be able to pull this off. He's chucking Tech 1 bombers out, which versus a cruiser is, you know, like giving razor blades to a baby to chew on. It's just never going to work well. Cheerios now with this navy, thinking, Guga's had enough, I'm moving centrally. This volcanic base is something I want to put a lid on. And I don't believe that what was looking really strong here on the west for Team 2, Havran's been able to set up shop on this island yet again. I really thought, seeing the destroyers and the cruisers pummel that island, it was going to go Team 2's way. Then when I saw him drop off those NGs, Tech 2 NGs, at that I thought, well, this is a lost cause. You're chucking good money after baddie, and somehow no. That said, by some miracle, Guga has been able to take over this island. Well, he needed something somewhere, and he's got what we got here: torp bombers, gunships. Was able to take out the cruiser, and they may be able to tickle this army to death. And with reinforcements here from Nabavasa, Guga may have a sizable amount of reclaim left. And with a little drop here, very nice from Nabavasa, taking out 1, 2, 3, 4 mass points from Luca. That was very much needed. It's a pillar drop, no less. He must have set these to auto-target mechs in the target prioritization. Is he going to get mechs number 5? Is he going to get 6? Well, an overcharge comes in, takes out 2 of the 3 pillars, and there goes down the other one. A very nice drop indeed. That is going to give Lucas something to think back at base. So far, one of the very few things that Team 1 have had to deal with at home. Team 1 with a very nice drop centrally, leading the way with Tech 2 Wagner's. That's going to clear up almost all the central area except for the very inside of the volcanoes there, which has been teched off and capped off from Nabavasa. Maybe he wants to think to invest on perhaps a shield and a flak to prevent a drop. I don't know. Tech 1 AAA is not going to prevent a drop. I really like what I'm seeing here from Team 2. Certainly Nabavasa is desperately trying to keep Guga in the game. I've seen many a higher rated player that let a lower rated player who's starting to struggle, they just let them die, and then as soon as they die, they move in with the big guns to reclaim what's there and set up shop. And Nabavasa, a real team player in that regard, you know, bending over backwards, keeping his mate in the game. And that's really, really nice to see. And of course, it's not like he's doing it for free. His own base here under attack, his forward base. He needs the numbers at home, of course. He's getting pressure from the north as well. But so far, his pal, did he go T3? He has. AT&T going T3 sub. The Seraphim Tech 3 subs nonetheless. Super, super deadly. And that will give Team 1 a moment of pause. Team 1 looking very, very strong over here. So far, it really feels like it's 60-40 in favour of Team 1. And now that they've sent in a battle cruiser under a couple of UEF shields, surrounded by a load of spam. Although, interestingly enough, what looks like only one cruiser. Take out the cruiser! Slight lost opportunity there. I beg your pardon, there's at least 2. Although I really like that. Some static artillery putting down quite some damage. And Nabavasa showing up with a battle cruiser of his own. I guess he feels not confident he can steamroll this, but he's, well, I don't know. He's jostling for position. He's got 1 shield boat, 2 destroyers and a cruiser, together with the frigates. Of course, the frigates for UEF are not just good for spam. They continue to provide counter intel throughout the game. Of course, Omni is able to see through that, but it's going to be difficult to have Omni at the far side of the screen. AT&T now with these Tech 3 subs. Oh, what we got here? Some bricks moving in. Wow, look at them chew through the hit points, though, of the bricks. What was 6 bricks is suddenly 5. Go down to 4. Got a battle cruiser waiting for AT&T, as well as some, very nice. Then there were 3. Then there were 2. Then there were 1. And basically taken out for free. How much Rex does that leave? Well, there's your answer. 1,036 apiece. 7,000 mass dumped right on your doorstep. I'm not sure they were able to get a single kill. Very nice there, work from Team 2. They needed something to happen. Nice pickup there, but, you know, another battle that's going Team 1's way. Starting to see a little bit of teamwork here, and they have taken out the cruisers. So Akano may be able to make these torps pay. How many has he got? He's got 12. Well, if Team 2 can keep air dominance, and we see Cheerios is moving in with his air, so that's unfortunate because we've got more torps here. Not before, though, they're able to take out the cruiser from Cheerios, but that may be the last little win for them. Yeah, ASF from Cheerios. Anybody? Oh, Nabavasa is got his own. Hang on. Potentially, Cheerios may be outgunned here. What we got? 35. We've got Akano with 26. Nabavasa with 23. Again, it's who plays together versus not. If these two guys play together, they're gonna win air. And it looks like it may come down to it now. Nabavasa pulls his ASF away. Akano, you've got to recognize, or Nabavasa, you've got to ask for help here. Meanwhile, we've got torps from Team 1 dealing with these Tech 3 subs. Cruiser there moving in, and not before time. Wow. Shows you what surfaced Tech 3. I didn't realize how good those. They seem to be really good. The Tech 3. What was I seeing? Oh, they do. No, they do have AAA. I thought I saw them firing off AAA or SAMs of some sort. Yes, it depends, like, you know, whether they're surfaced or not. But alas, the cruiser going down. The subs having to go down. 4 become 3, become 2. AT&T needs to pull this back if he's going to hang on to anything. And he does finally recognize it. His base is under fire. And unfortunately, he loses his Tech 3. Does take out a Cooper, I believe, in the dying moments. Well, we've got action everywhere. Interestingly, very little down the middle. It's all on the east or the west. Massive squadrons of torpedoes there from Akano. And if he can keep those alive, and he may... Akano, come on, come on, come on. Get your air. You need your torpedo bombers. Cheerio. Oh. Cheerios, just 3 ASF. I don't know how I was able to move that entire wave of fighters from Akano, but he was. His ASF there, keeping them alive. Come on. Really feel like it's time for Guga and Akano now to give a helping hand over onto the west side. If AT&T goes down, Nabavasa's going to fall, and Nabavasa was the only thing that kept these two guys in the game 10-15 minutes ago. It's time to return the favor. And now, and I don't understand, why are you not helping, man? What more do you want? Akano, if you don't help now, your team is going to die. And then you're going to be next. Are they even asking for help? Well, they're pinging nuke. I'm not sure it's going to matter. Akano, pal. I feel like you've let your team you've let them down here for 2 or 3 minutes. You could have sent that entire thing in 2 or 3 minutes ago. AT&T's out the game now. Akano, why? The air is picked up from Team 1. They see it coming. And now your top player is getting beaten down a minute 34. You see they're desperately pinging on that nuke. Surely you're not using these to one-shot. Please tell me you've multi-targeted, and thank goodness for that. It all comes down to, can Nabavasa keep this nuke online? Akano, get the battleships now. The Ravagers are going to take care of that other destroyer. The cruiser goes down. The battleships. Akano, the battleships, and he's moving in. See, Team 1's desperately pinging on. Get your ASF over here. All comes down to this. Avron, the lowest rated player in the game, is the only one with ASF on the scene of any quantity. Uh-oh, the nuke is down. Bang. Nabavasa throwing out the GG. And I hate to say it, and I hate to put a blame onto players, but Akano, we saw, did wonders with his torpedo bombers when he moved them in. If he'd have moved them in 2 or 3 minutes ago, his pal would have still been in the game. All the action would have been centered over the northern side. Nabavasa would have had more time with that nuke. Yeah, but I'm not going to blame it 100% on Akano. These two guys, you know, Nabavasa AT, I feel could have been asked in chat. Akano, pings galore, get those torps over here now. I mean, granted, task saturation maybe prevented them to see quite what his pal had, but, you know, pings, ask for help. I didn't see very much, if any of that. You know, looking back here, all the chat is on Team 1. You know, the plans, the asks for help, the calls to action, if it's all on Team 1's side. And looking at the map now, it's 2/3 Team 1. It seems that the chat and the communication has paid off. Akano with huge quantities of air here. But, you know, that was needed before. He doesn't have any ASF in the right place. And I hate to call a game when it's still 4v2 and the two players have still got a good third of the map, but to me, it's starting to feel like a formality at this point, especially when they're the two lowest rated players that remain. I really feel Guga played a really good game, and he was picked on and bullied right from the off, the lowest rated player. And he was doing wonders with what he had, and he still is. He still is doing wonders with what he has. And somehow he's managed to squeeze out a battleship with his base economically wiped out at least twice from two separate players. I just felt Akano was playing the turtle. And, you know, you can play the turtle if you're shielded off and the opponent ain't coming in. But if you've got guys on fronts Alpha, Bravo, Charlie all folding, you can't afford to sit in the rear with gear doing jack shit until everybody's dead and then send out waves of torpedo bombers without the air cover that's needed. Yeah, I feel like I'm going a bit hard on the dude, but, you know, I make a million mistakes every video, so don't feel too bad about it. A few Tech 1 subs versus Battleship and a massive naval there from Havron, I beg your pardon, and Martin moving down. These two guys have played really well together. I really like how these two guys have played together. And Lucas as well, together with Cheerios. We're backing each other up throughout here. Granted, they split their navies off a little bit, but it worked. Both of them going after Guga there. And Guga, I don't believe it, is actually pushing Lucas back on the eastern side, but it feels like a very minor silver lining on an otherwise very bleak sky. The main base for Team 2 completely going down, and Team 1, Martin, setting up shop, engineers, factories, reclaim duty. Couple of units remain. The drop now from Martin right onto Acano's primary expansion, and he does manage to take it out. But they've inflicted some damage, taken out the shield, which I'm sure was their main objective. The Navy's moving in now, pincering in the expansion. Ericano, refusing to give up, continues to spit out undefended torpedo bombers that are just getting picked up by the ASF for naught. Guga, playing an absolute blinder, brings his Navy back to try and defend yet again another flank of his base, this time from Cheerios, able to take out the shields. And based on this being shields, battleships and cruisers and frigates, he will eventually be able to win that engage, which is kind of incredible. I just feel it won't matter. And at this point, it feels like Team 1, if they really wanted, could just swarm their opponents. I guess they're just savouring the moment. Like with a cat toying with its mouse before it decides to finally eat it. It's going to chop off one of its legs and then just play with it for a little bit. Avron, showing a bit of mercy, thinks, no, it's time. Send in the big boys. And the big boys he sends in. Shields starting to go down now. Aracano, the turtle. Yeah. This is what happens if you let your forward players go down when you've got stuff to help them and you don't. The things that took out your forward players are then going to progress slowly towards your base and then repeat process, and you've got no forward player left to help you out. And don't forget, especially Nabavasa, you know, was all over the place with his navy, desperately trying to keep these two guys in the game, which he did.
Strategic launch detected.
I don't think there's going to be any rabbits left to pull out the hat on this one. Carno's going down moments before the nuke impacts his base, leaving Guga all by his lonesome. And, you know, I like to give my thought on who played especially well. And you probably guessed who I'm going to favour for this one. And I do take their ranking into consideration. And it's this guy right here. Lowest rated player for Team 2, last one to survive, had his base completely demolished economically twice, picked on by at least 2 players from the opposing team, didn't give up, continued to fight, and for a while was pushing back, both initially before he had his base wiped out economically, and then later on was able to push Lucas back one-on-one. Of course, he was 4v1 there at the end. Very well played. And yeah, this game shows, if any game ever did, that one team beats 4 players any day on a 4v4. Until then, hope you enjoyed it from me. Take care. Bye-bye.